Lawrence B. Solom espoused the view that if you want to know what the letter means, or more precisely, what it communicates, you will need to know what the words and phrases used in the letter meant at the time the letter was written. Some words may be archaic, no longer used in contemporary English. Other words may have changed their meaning over time, and you would want to know what their meaning was in the 13th century. And meaning is not just a function of the meaning of individual words and phrases, it is also a function of syntax or grammar. Syntax can change over time, so you might need to know something about how 13th century syntax differs from contemporary syntax if you wanted to understand a letter written in the 13th century. In decoding the contents of Solom's statement plausibly implies change the lens. The fact that some words in the letter may be archaic and are no longer used in contemporary English suggests change the lens. Change the lens in this ambience is a way of life of groups of people, meaning the way they are doing things. The outlook, attitudes, values, morals, goals, and customs shared by a society is culture, a view espoused by Wikipedia. Importantly, the contents of Solom's statement activated my cognitive skills to the extent that I was compelled to juxtapose Solom's statement against culture. I also philosophized this conversation and characterized the same as change the lens, which is an analytical discourse examined through the lens as an author, student of film, media arts specialist, licensed cultural practitioner, and publisher. Although change the lens verbalizes, connotes, and implies a meaning and condition, yet simultaneously it denotes photography in this ambience. In this ambience, logically speaking, from a practitioner's perspective, changing the lens is framed as a close-up shot which produces properly illuminated and sharp images practically and theoretically. Hal Gregersen made the telling point, I quote, "Now I saw that my core advice on how to re-image organizational strategies and cultures mapped directly into what Abel has taught for decades about creating photographs worthy of National Geographic." End quote. When I analyze Gregersen's expression, it appears that his utterances are as a result of his cognitive skills within the deep renaissance of his work implies that he changed the lens. Change the lens is like a double entendre since it has multiple meanings and different interpretations of the same primary meaning. In this context, change the lens exploits ambiguity and was used deliberately in this text, notwithstanding the fact that sometimes a homophone or another word which sounds the same can be used as a pun. Julian Baggini argued that a common metaphor that captures this idea is that we always look at things through a particular lens. Sometimes people take that to mean that we never see the world as it really is. We always see it distorted in some way. That's the wrong way of cashing out the lens metaphor. A better way is to say that if we look through a lens and it's a good one, we'll bring something of the world into sharp focus and make it clear. But almost invariably, that comes at the expense of other things that are either completely out of the frame or blurred. So, When we look at the world through the lens of, say, sex or gender, you'll see all sorts of real differences between populations of men and women. You're only being misled by this if you take this to be the complete picture and ignore everything else that is out of the frame or blurred. Switch lens and look through the glass of material wealth, and you find that almost everything in life, from educational achievement to health and longevity to choice of mate, is affected by your position on the economic ladder. The general principle is that it's only when you have a whole variety of lenses and you avail yourself of all that they can capture that you can see the fuller truth of a situation. According to Wikipedia, a linguistic analysis of this phrase, change the lens, is just a group of words that functions as a constituent in the syntax of this sentence and, however, acts as a single unit within this grammatical hierarchy. Change the lens is not only an intellectual discussion, but it is juxtaposed against the theories of what letter means, shared values, strategies thought through the lens. Changing your lens is an idea, change is necessary, and myths about culture were philosophized. Too often, we react defensively to circumstances that appear beyond our control, especially since there are 5 myths associated with change. Myth 1: change must be imposed. People don't like change. We must coerce them to make changes. Real changes is self-motivated. Myth 2: you gradually wear down resistors. Eventually, everyone will embrace change. Myth 3: change is a one-time thing. Once we make the changes we need, everything will be okay. Myth 4: change is radical. Real change happens in small steps. Large changes overwhelm people, defeating them before they even start. And myth 5: others have to change, not me. Overall, change the lens is an intellectual conversation which is applied practically and theoretically. Literally, as an author, student of film, media arts specialist, licensed cultural practitioner, and publisher, my cognitive skills were activated at the phrase change the lens. Change the lens verbalized connotes and implies a meaning and condition, simultaneously denoting photography. It produces properly illuminated and sharp images. Practically and theoretically, it is like a double entendre, since it has multiple meanings and different interpretations of the same primary meaning, exploits ambiguity, and was used deliberately in this text and can be used as a pun. Finally, change the lens is a pretext to highlight change, since change is inevitable. A view espoused by Benjamin Disraeli was framed in ISBN 9781 64970 7239.